Hello, my name is Akilia Ashley. I'm a representative from IHPCH Voices. You are?
Gareth Robinson, and I am the principal of the school.
Thank you. Today's questions are about Potahto Head. So we're trying to write weekly stories about people who actually receive this. Mm-hmm. But before we do that, we want to have an overview of what it actually is. Okay, so what exactly is Potahto Head?
Okay. So there is actually some psychology behind Potahto Head. And how it works is that human beings are motivated by incentives. And so anybody who studies economics, that's essentially what, like microeconomics, they spend a lot of time studying, is what kind of incentives you need to get people to do certain things. And so because human beings are motivated by incentives, it's important that you give them incentives because it makes you feel special. The trick is that the incentive has to be valuable, but you don't want it to be valuable in a sense of it's like money or gold. And there's a whole bunch of technical reasons why that is the case. And so you want to have something that is has a lot of symbolic value to it. So there are, and then even sports psychologists study this a lot, like with working with athletes. So if anybody's watched, I've seen it in like pro football and college football. Like a couple years ago, Florida State their defense it was called a takeaway chain. And so if you recovered a fumble or got an interception, when you got off the field, they would put the chain around you. And this is just like a regular old chain. This I think it was like spray painted gold in the Florida State colors. And so this thing outside of that has really no value. But when you see those players get that chain, they're like all in the camera, because they're all about it, because it has that meaning. And so that is basically the theory behind the Potahto Head. The origin of the Potahto Head here is, so in the process of, so I know everybody hopefully knows that it was Mrs. Thorpe and I are the ones who wrote the proposal that ultimately became IHPCH. So we were the ones who designed a lot of the things that, we hoped the school would become and things that we would do. I was asked to go through a principal leadership program called the Leadership Academy. And part of that was this summer intensive of a lot of work and stuff. And then I spent 6 months as what was called a resident principal. And so essentially I worked underneath another principal who was my mentor principal. It was like an apprenticeship almost. So I technically didn't really work for the school. I wasn't the principal, but I was also not an assistant principal, because my job was to learn how to be a principal from another principal. And so I was at the Young Women's Leadership School of Brooklyn, and they had grades 6 through 10 at the time. And every Friday, their staff got together at the end of the day, and they did Potahto Head. And the two, my mentor principal's favorite parts of the day were morning meeting, which we do here, and Potahto Head on Fridays. She never missed Potahto Head, no matter how bad of a day or bad of a week it was. And she's a very petite woman, but we would have to go running up the hallways it's Potahto Head time. And so I don't quite have that same bubbly persona that she did, but that's Potahto Head. And so every week how it works is, so I start the year. I'm usually guilty of always buying the Potahto Heads late because I keep forgetting. But we start the year, and I will give it to 2 teachers who I think, just like Character Principal Awards, I'll give it to recognize teachers. And I will usually, at the beginning of a school year, if we have a new teacher or new staff members, I will give it to them. Then the following week, they will give it to someone who they saw do something that was good. Maybe they helped the teacher do something. Maybe they saw them do something really good for a student. Just good things like that. And so you customize it with something that makes you think of that person, and then you give it to them, and then they get to keep it for the week. And so that's why, like, you'll go in some of the classrooms sometimes, and a teacher may have this potato head on their desk, and I know the kids are always like, what is this about? And that's what it is. So it just means, like, if you walk into your class and you see your teacher has a potato head, you should celebrate them because that means they did something awesome.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. I think you pretty much covered all the questions I had here. I only had 3 questions.
Okay.
Like, where did it come from? And why would somebody feel good about getting it? And you pretty much covered all of that.
Yeah,
So,
because
yes.
I think you've probably heard me say this at a community meeting. I think we live in a world where it's so easy to focus on the negative.
Yes.
That it's really important that we take time out to focus on the positives.
Yes.
There's what's called a golden ratio. Human beings respond best when they get 5 positive comments for every 1 negative.
Thank you so much.
You are welcome.